All right, 3 members of Congress in 3 days stepping down because of sexual harassment allegations. And another is now under investigation. How will the Me Too movement reshape Capitol Hill and this country and this cultural moment? Joining us to discuss all of it is Nancy Erika Smith, the attorney representing Gretchen Carlson against Roger Ailes, Margaret Hoover, CNN political commentator and Republican consultant, and Areva Martin, CNN legal analyst. We always joke that here we are again. Right. Every day we have new news to report. We're not rehashing this conversation. There are new developments. So yesterday we had Trent Franks, who has apparently, reportedly, asked 2 female staffers in his office for help with he and his wife's fertility issues, hoping that perhaps they could perform some sort of surrogacy. But let's deal with Al Franken for a second, Margaret. Did he deserve to lose his career?
Well, look, his career isn't over, but he lost his Senate seat. And
well,
he lost
his political career may be over. I mean, his career in the Senate is over.
Oh, that fair point. Yes. That behavior is no longer acceptable. This is what we've all decided, is that you cannot behave in the ways that used to be acceptable. This has been exposed. We are turning a new page in this country, and there's a new standard of behavior for both men and women in the workplace. And that kind of behavior, whether a Republican or a Democrat, shall not be tolerated.
Yes, and see, Nancy, here's the part that I find a little bit confusing. I understand that we're in this moment, this Me Too moment, absolutely, but why don't we reset the clock now? What we're doing is retroactively resetting the clock and saying, Al Franken, for whatever you did 10 years ago, Roy Moore, for whatever you did 40 years ago, you'll be held responsible today. Is that okay?
That's perfectly okay, because it's about time that we have this reckoning. These women were victimized, and we need to stand up for them. It's time. These comments about, oh, it's a lynch mob and a witch hunt, that's so offensive. Lynch mobs were about stopping African Americans from getting civil rights. Witch hunts were about controlling women. This is about women saying enough. And unless we stop it today by getting rid of the harassers, serial harassers, we see it over and over again. We've talked about them. It's not 1 woman or 2 women. It's like 6, 7. We need to get them out of the workplace. That is fair. It's time. It's a new day.
It is. Well played, Nancy. Well played. I like the branding. But, Areva, it's some of the conservative commentators, such as Laura Ingraham on Fox. We heard Newt Gingrich say this. They invoked the lynch mob, that Democrats all rose up for political purposes, they say, to get rid of Al Franken when maybe they didn't have to.
Well, first of all, Allison, Ingalls and Newt Gingrich giving Democrats, advice on how to deal with women and these sexual abuse allegations, that's laughable. When you look at Newt Gingrich's own history and his disrespect of his own wives, I just think we can, dismiss anything he has to say on this issue. The reality is we've overlooked abuse by powerful men like Al Franken for years. We have held him up as someone to revere because we respected his progressive policies. And we've done that and at the cost of sacrificing women's humanity and their civil rights. And that's what we're saying. We've got to overcorrect in some situations because we've overlooked for decades. And I think eventually, hopefully, we get to a point where men like Al Franken, who are progressive on women's issues in public, are also as progressive in private in terms of how they treat women. And until we get to that point, we need to go through each and every one of these predators, and they need to be out of office. And this whole concept that they are entitled to due process, where is that coming from? Who was there standing up for women saying that they deserve due process? Women were shamed, they were ostracized, they were retaliated against, and we didn't see Republicans coming out saying, let's stand up for these women. So I think we can dismiss what they're saying about how we should, as Democrats, be treating those that we've elected to serve us.
The one piece of this that's deeply disappointing as a Republican woman is the way the Democratic senators got together, and it was the Democratic female senators who said, this will not stand, Al Franken has to go. Wouldn't it be nice to see a resounding chorus of women in the House of Representatives, Republican women in the House of Representatives, to joining Mia Love and joining Barbara Comstock to say this behavior will not be tolerated? And by the way, there is a new generation of younger Republican women sort of coming up through the ranks. I would love to hear their voices added to this chorus.
Meaning the Texas Congressman Blake Farenthold has to go,
yes.
in your opinion?
No. I mean, there is no question. Public dollars settled a case with an employee of his.
It was legal.
There's a
I mean, this was the system that was set up. I mean, as we've all learned, learned in the past month or so, this was the system that was set up if
An
you had a sexual
erroneous
harassment
system
suit.
for fiscal conservatives to somehow be in favor of the public till going to pay off bad behavior of men.
And to shut up women, which is what these calls, these lynch mob, this is saying again to women, shut up. And we're not going to shut up anymore. We're not going to do it with NDAs. Legislation was introduced this week to stop forced arbitration. Thank you, Gretchen Carlson. And that's all designed to shut women up. And these calling political correctness run or lynch mobs, that's designed to shut us up.
Go ahead, Ariva.
And Allison, can I just add this? These decisions are difficult. Look, as an African-American woman, I grew up idolizing someone like John Conyers. So when John Conyers has to step down, Franken, someone who has been out front on issues that women care about, these aren't easy decisions, but they're necessary decisions. And just because they're hard doesn't make them the wrong thing to do. And because this may be a political calculation on the part of Democrats, I don't know if it's political or moral, but we do know it's the right thing to do. And that's what's so encouraging to me as a civil rights lawyer. This is a different moment for women because women are being believed, they're being applauded, and they're being celebrated, as we saw that cover of Time magazine. And that would have never happened 10 years ago. So I think we have to continue with this momentum, keep pushing forward, and not let the naysayers who refuse to do anything to root out the men in their own party, i.e. the Republicans. They can't stop this movement. It's too powerful.
And look, it's bipartisan, as we've learned. There are offenders across every aisle. So, Ariva, Margaret, Nancy, thank you very much. I predict I'll see you both on Monday. Thank you. Thank you all very much.